Here's some quick takes on two anticipated new perfumes that I had the chance to sample. I always give everything I talk about at least one wear on skin, a spritz on wrist, which I know still isn't enough to really get a total feel for the perfume. I think you have to wear it all day as your scent of the day. But the day I got these samples from the store, I sprayed one on each wrist and went to bed with it to see how they wear. So I have an okay idea. So we've got here the new Dior New Look by Francis Kurkdjian, and this is the new Guerlain Neroli Plein. Now I was somewhat excited is too strong a word, hopeful about the Guerlain. I haven't liked their last string of releases. I feel like they've gotten a sweet tooth. They're really focusing on honey, which is intentional. It's part of the brand heritage, the bee bottle, which goes back to Napoleon. I know about this because at Dior, when Hedi Slimane took over, he used the bee as one of their symbols, a symbol of France. He put it on neckties, and now Guerlain is really claiming its bee-ness and putting honey in everything. It's a cool idea, but it also feels like an excuse to just make everything syrupy sweet, which kind of falls nicely into trends these days. Anyway, I like the note of neroli. I'm kind of a neroli fiend. If I can find good nerolis, I'm easy to please. And this one sounded interesting because it's a spiced neroli. And the only other kind of spiced neroli I know is Hermès's Neroli Doré, which is part of their cologne line. This one is really slept on. It's usually fairly poorly reviewed and ends up really cheap on discounters, but I adore that perfume. It's like really like a golden sunset. You get neroli, you get saffron. It doesn't last super long, but it's gorgeous. I've bought also on discounters the shower gel for Hermès Neroli Doré, and I love that. So I thought, the concept behind Neroli Plein Sud has promise, and if it can deliver on something like a warm, spicy, kind of golden sunset neroli of Neroli Doré, but maybe increase the performance and the complexity, I would really be down for that. Unfortunately, that's not what we get. I'll spray it here to remind myself. So, yeah. First off, I think people in France have an association with neroli and kind of cheap or mundane bath products that I don't share. So neroli always smells lovely, flowers, reminds me of spring. But right off the bat, it's definitely of that kind of nice scented hand soap variety. It has a white floral creaminess to it. I get a little pepperiness. It mentions cinnamon, turmeric, and ginger. I can get that with the power of suggestion. I can actually almost parse all three. I hear the ginger. I feel the ginger brightness. It says vetiver and sandalwood in the dry down. But what bothered me about this is the dry down smells a lot like the dry down of Le Labo's Lavande, which, if you saw my review of that, I said should be named Le Labo's Neroli. So I wonder if there's just a certain extraction or proprietary, although Guerlain is in-house and Le Labo is, I believe, Estee Lauder, but it just feels odd that these two releases have a base that smells so similar of neroli. Now, I like that. Again, I do like this smell. There's nothing to dislike here, except it feels sharp. Certain amberwoods have this kind of nose tingling. It's almost the effect of pepper without smelling like pepper. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It doesn't smell like pepper, but it acts on your nose like pepper. And if you breathe deeply, it has that sharpness, and it reads as a synthetic, scratchy amberwoodiness. And amberwoods is not listed. It could be the vetiver. There could be amberwoods unlisted in it to give it longevity. But it just detracts from the natural beauty. And within the first few minutes already, the spices are gone. And that's the only thing that I think could have made this more interesting than your other run-of-the-mill Neroli. So lightly spiced, I'm getting a little ginger if I smell hard still, but a little harsh. And when you mix harshness with citrus or neroli or soapiness, you do risk the fact of smelling like a household cleaner. And it's not quite there. It would be a luxurious household cleaner, but it's headed there. And most of all, the base is just really boring and kind of one note, just like the Le Labo was. Once those kind of interesting top notes fizzle away, you're just left with this long-lasting, soapy, a little scratchy, a little kind of ISO-y, like amorphous, woodsy kind of smell. And for such an expensive fragrance, that's really not good enough. If this was an Aqua Allegoria that I could find at discounter for $60, I think I'd pick it up, no question. But actually, speaking of that, I recently finally bought the Neroli Nerolia Vetiver. And to me, that's just as good, if not better, than this, because that one actually smells more natural and less sharp. And there's 3 versions of that. The Harvest is the most honey. So I got the EDT, which doesn't last forever. I'd say I get a good 4 hours, but I liked it the best because it was the least sweet. So yeah, it doesn't make sense to me for this to exist. I don't know who needs to spend, what is it, $300 to $500 for this kind of smell. If you really like it, buy Vetiver Nerolia or buy Hermes Neroli Doré and just spray a lot. That one I think is like $60. Another disappointment from Guerlain. The string of disappointments continues. And then we have New Look by Francis. I was such a Demachi hater, and it's not personal, it's just Dior as a brand was so special to me because I was a fan of the creative director Eddie Slimane, who started the whole Privé line, and I think kind of kicked off the trend for designers to have a higher priced bracket tier Privé type line. And under his entire tenure, he released only 3 things, and each one was like a masterpiece level fragrance. And one day, several years later, not realizing anything had changed because I wasn't that into fragrance, I walk in the boutique and there's like 20. It's like they had babies. And my favorites were gone, and the ones that were left didn't smell the same. Everything was like sickly sweet or syrupy or goopy or kind of a nothing floral. And I was just like, what in God's name? So ever since then, I've cursed the name Demachi. I presume he was just doing his job to bring everything in-house, and I shouldn't take it out on him. I should take it out on the owners of Dior, but I can't look past that. I'm extremely biased in the way I feel about Demachi. So the point is, when Kirkjan got appointed, I was actually excited. I think Kirkjan's own line has been kind of stalled in laundry musk territory for what seems like forever. But I just thought him taking over New House would maybe be the creative kind of spark or kind of, flame under his butt to get some really interesting things to come out. And then Dior Rivera came out and we all groaned and said, no, it's just as bad, if not worse, than we had expected. Anyway, unfortunately, I hate to be just a negative Nancy today. New Look follows in that tradition for me. Again, sounds promising. Aldehydes and incense, frankincense. I believe they list 3 notes. Clicking here, aldehyde notes, frankincense, ambria cord. Again, I don't hate it. Both of these are nice. They're pleasant. They both smell like spring. They should be spring releases. It's just aldehydes, maybe it's through no fault of their own, are so associated with Chanel. I can't help but compare this to Chanel fragrances like number 22 and, of course, number 5. And to me, I describe this as number 22 with all the life sucked out of it. So if you took number 22 and you just turn it into a black and white photograph, you just turn down the grayscale until there's no color left. That's what you're left. So you get aldehydes, but it has this like stony mineralic aspect. I get the image of like very cold water running over stone in a creek, which sounds nice, but it just runs cold. You get the aldehydes, and then you just get this cold whisper of incense and wet stone, and then that's about it. In number 22, as the aldehydes clear, you get this warm body of florals and of vanilla that start to warm things up. And again, it's about not just complexity for complexity's sake, but to have some kind of contrast and development, something that can keep your interest for more than 10 minutes. And I'll be honest, I like this smell, but again, it just feels very flat and very boring. And I'm even okay with linear fragrances if in that linearity there's enough of a world to kind of keep you interested and not sick of it. But it's just kind of a light, soapy, a little bit frankincense-y, a little bit incense-y. I wouldn't say it's strongly smelling of incense. It does smell a little bit like a more fresh, zesty Avignon from Comme des Garçons. But I'll have to retry this in the summer. Maybe I'll change my mind on a hot, humid day. I do like this better than the Guerlain, and actually it's grown on me since I first smelled it. But it's very simple. I feel like the three notes more or less describe it. Amber Accord is interesting. I don't get anything warm, which is what amber would imply, but also thankfully nothing sweet, which is nice. So yeah, cold water on gray stone, a little bit of aldehydes. Maybe it's an interesting concept to take a particular potentially dated fragrance profile such as aldehydes and bring it into the modern day by getting rid of the vanilla, getting rid of the floral, just stripping it down until it's like this modern, shiny thing. But I'm not sure. I'll have to wear it more. I do think actually in summer, this could be kind of a really nice alternative to citruses, because oftentimes in summer you're grasping for something else that gives you freshness and cleanliness that's not citrus, and any new addition to that field is often welcome. So I'll give it another shot in summer, but again, very expensive for something that smells generally fairly mundane and like it's been done before and like it's been done better before as well. So those are my thoughts for now on these new releases. What else do I have here? Oh, that's New Look. It's like, did I have a third I forgot about? Anyway, that's all for real, and goodbye.